So I run two master buses when I'm mixing. Wait, what? Why? So there's two reasons for this. The first one is each one serves a completely different purpose, and the second one is how I utilize reference tracks when I'm mixing. Now I mix entirely in Logic, but you can do the same setup in any DAW, doesn't matter what you're using. So now let's take a dive into the computer and I'll show you how this setup works and why you might want to check it out or try it. Alright, so these are my two master buses in Logic, and I'll walk you through this process backwards. So the default master bus, which is the stereo out in Logic, everything on this is utility. So I have a gain plugin, which I only use when I want to check a mix in mono. I have the Waves VU meter when I want to compare the levels of a bass and a kick drum relative to each other. I have a channel EQ, and the only thing I use this for is to just check the overall EQ of the whole song, like what that curve looks like. Multimeter I just use to check phase correlation, things like that. And of course the computer fan's kicking in. Logic's multi-band compressor, I don't use this for any compression. What I use this for is to listen to different sections of the mix, so I can just listen to just the lows, or just the mids, or just the highs, whatever I want. And then the last thing on this is a CLA-NX. Whenever I'm mixing on headphones, I always turn this on. Now the other master bus, which I've created, this is where all my processing goes. So the first thing any mix I do will hit will be the NLS bus, and then I've been using this multi-band Neve compressor lately, then into the J37 tape emulation from Waves, and then lastly for referencing I'll use the PSP Vintage Warmer and then Ozone 9. Unless it's a rough mix I never print with these two on. I save them for mastering, but I do like to, when the mix is almost done, turn them on and kind of see how things are coming together and how it'll likely sound after a song's been mastered. So of course this bus would obviously feed into the main output. And as you can see, all my regular buses are hitting this master bus first, and then again going into the final master bus, the output. Now another reason this comes in really handy is for reference tracks. You can see I have a bus here, it's labeled reference tracks. And this bus actually skips this master bus and sends right out to the main outputs. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The first one, I don't drag and drop reference tracks into my sessions, I just stream them through iTunes. But when I'm checking a reference track, I don't want to hear all of the processing I have on the first master bus. Otherwise I'd have to sit here and turn all of this off, and what a pain in the butt that would be every time. And then the other reason why I don't just play back music directly from iTunes and I want it running through Logic is because if I'm mixing on headphones, I'm using the CLA-NX. So in order to have a comparison, I also need to hear the reference tracks when I'm working on headphones through the CLA-NX. Because if I'm listening to a reference track in my mix in two completely different environments, it kind of defeats the purpose of even having the reference track. So again, this allows me to have two master buses, both doing two completely different things, so it's separating the processes. One for processing, one for utility stuff. And then it also allows me to monitor the reference tracks through the CLA-NX and without having to turn all the processing off on the one master bus anytime I need to check a reference track. Alright, so I hope you guys found this helpful, and if you have any comments or questions, as always, leave them down below. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching. I've been Mr. Jeff, and I'll see you next time, so take it easy. Bye!